Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Husband Quotes, the channel for marriage advice, marriage entertainment, and everything else marriage. Hey, guys, and welcome back to the channel.
Let me ask you this. Before I go, let me ask you this. What is your response when people ask you what was the prayer? What do you say? Because that's all people want to know.
Really?
You be acting like you don't hear people asking you the damn question. What was the prayer? That's what they want to know. What was it? Because I pray with you many nights. I'm like, did you keep that one?
The point is what you just said, that I prayed many nights.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing, is like, people always say the prayer. It's not just one prayer. It's multiple prayers. Like, especially, when you're going through a big transition in life. Like for me, as we, all know, I was single mom in it. That was something I never envisioned, never imagined. Mm-hmm. And I think at that point, when you're in a time like that in your life, you have to think about like exactly where you are and where you want to go. And so,
because I remember you always telling me like you have to envision it, speak it, believe it.
You have to, because if you don't have a vision for where you're trying to get to, you'll just keep shooting in the dark. You won't get anywhere. And so I think that was the biggest thing, is like, I knew at that place at that time in my life, that for me, I had to be intentional.
Look at Russ. Right.
No, I did. I had to be intentional.
Well, the funny thing is that everybody asks, what the prayer was for Ciara, but nobody really asked me what was the prayer for me.
Nobody ever. You're right. Nobody. Okay, bro. What was the prayer for you?
So let me tell y'all something. I was single. I was doing, hanging out, doing the thing, whatever that means.
Doing what, bro? Doing what thing?
Hey, you know what I'm saying? Listen. That's a later conversation.
Oh Lord.
But anyway, so I'm hanging out, and I think ultimately though, for me, I never forget, like, be in this space of like, what do I really want? Like, what am I looking for? And I think, really, I wanted a relationship, a long-lasting relationship. I wanted love. I wanted kids. I wanted family. I didn't want perfection. I wanted the perfect thing for me. And so, anyway, so I ended up writing down my 5 non-negotiables, because really, really, marriage is a partnership. It's a business deal in a way, but it's really a partnership. It's like, hey, we're going to do this forever. Like, how are we going to partner and do this, right? And so, for me, I thought of it that way. I was like, okay, well, when you go into a partnership deal or a business type deal, you want to think about what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that this is what I want, and this is what I have to have, and this is what I'm looking for. So I wrote down my 5 non-negotiables, and producer Lala over here getting on the deets.
I'm going in. Look, how did I turn into the damn interviewer?
But the reality is, hold on one second. The reality is that sorry, I'm just texting her. The reality is that for me, for the 5 non-negotiables was more what I had to write down. I had to write down what those were. I had to have a clear vision of what that was. And so for my 5 non-negotiables, the first one is I wanted a woman of faith. That's the number one thing I wanted.
And that was important to her.
I wanted a woman of faith. The second thing is I wanted a woman who was faithful. The third thing I wanted is, ultimately, I wanted an independent woman. Okay. I wanted a person that didn't have to be Ciara. They could be doing whatever, but they had their own identity. They had their own perspective on what they wanted to do in life and how they wanted to impact people. And that was something that I noticed from the first time we met, and how she spoke about others. The fourth thing was I wanted a woman who was going to love me the way that my mom loved my dad when he was on his deathbed, and how my mom took care of my dad no matter what the circumstances were, no matter how hard it got. Our family, to be honest, we went bankrupt at one point, and just, it was hard. It was heavy times, and you have to be able to, my dad always knew that we were going to be good, that we were going to be good. My brother, myself, and my sister, that we were going to be okay, because my mom was helping lead the way, and she had a great perspective. And the fifth thing was, ultimately, I wanted a woman who was going to tilt the room, right? You walk in the room, if she walks in the room, the whole furniture just slides to her.
Okay.
And so the 5 things my 5 non-negotiables were: one woman of faith. Second thing was one woman who's faithful. Third thing was one woman who was independent. Fourth thing was I wanted a woman who, who loved me the way that my mom loved my dad. And the fifth thing was, ultimately, is I wanted a woman who would tilt the room.
Tilt the room.
I wasn't going to settle for 3 out of the 5 or 4 out of the 5. We were going to go 5 for 5, and that was it.
And you got it.
And we got 5 for 5 plus some more.
You got it.
Yeah,
you
so
got it.
that was really what we were.
Are you crying?
Yes, I am. Sorry, because I'm hormonal too. But I mean, I guess
it is sweet, but it's so nice to hear it all over again.
Yeah. Well, I think the cool thing is like even when you get to take time and really hear like when we talk about these things is that our prayers are pretty much lined up. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably like the thing that I hear out of it when we talk about it and we say these things back to, because we've talked about this, time and time again, whether it's with our friends or just people when we're having conversations about our journey. And I think the thing that stands out the most to me is that we were in sync. We talk about being equally yoked. Mm-hmm. And that moment of when you pray, I think for anything in life, I don't care if it's like love, if it's business, if it's the vision you have for yourself, like even as a single person, right? I think for whatever it is, because at that time period, I was a single mom. So I'm like, and I was single, right? So
I remember.
Yeah, I know. You've been there many nights.
Yes.
But at that time, you got to be intentional. Like, I really believe you can't get anywhere in life without a compass of some. You got to have a compass. If you're trying to get somewhere in life, you got to have some kind of compass, because again, otherwise you're just shooting in the dark. You're just kind of hoping and guessing, and like you kind of like, I feel like you make life more complicated and you make the journey more complex.
Right.
But
I feel like even during those times you were still so positive about just your outlook, where a lot of people would just be over everything and you still just kept a positive spirit and positive attitude throughout that whole time.
Yeah, I mean that was important to me, because that was the thing that I knew was going to keep me up.
Right.
Because if I decided to think negatively and being in my circumstance, then I know that was going to set me back. And I think my biggest fear I have is losing my identity, like who I am as like that's one of my biggest fears, is like not knowing who I am. And I think sometimes when we're like wrapped up in like the situation, when it's not the best situation, just like the idea of it, like not even saying like it's necessarily like a particular thing, but just in general where we are, if we're wrapped up in that moment, then we lose sight of like what really is important, and we just lose sight of everything. And I think for me, I love being happy. Like happiness is a big part of my identity. So if I take that away, I'm not being who I am. And then that's going to trickle down to my son. Like at that time period, I'm like, that would trickle down there. That would trickle down to
one of the things I always tell
everything.
Is
everything, not even just that, but the
work, everything,
everything, my career, everything. Like I literally won't be, my best me, right?
So
I love it. Why are people like, La? Are you having a talk show right now? I
forgot these people on
La said 10 minutes ago she had to go work out. She's still on this line.
I thought I was talking to my sister. I even forgot all about everybody.
By the way, I'm going to schedule my therapy session with you, Russ, for later on today. So pencil me in. These people want to talk to you guys. I got to get off and let other people get on.
Well, we love you, La.
I love you guys so much. Love y'all.
Okay, have a good workout.
Call me after.
Okay, bye.
Bye, dear. Bye.
So funny.